This is the new Ford Fiesta. Now the Fiesta has been around for 42 years, which means it's almost as old as me. And for this latest version, Ford has tried to make it look a bit fresher, a bit younger. So they've smoothed out the creases compared to the old car. It's as if they've given it a dose of Botox. So there's the old Fiesta and there's the new one. Yeah, I could do with some of that. So this new Fiesta, it starts from just over £13,000. But if you go to carwow.co.uk, you can get it from just under £12,000. Now, if you want to check out prices for yourself at CarWow, you can click on the pop-out banner in the top right-hand corner of the screen or on the link below the video. It'll take you straight there. Now, I'm going to start this review by talking about some of the improvements Ford have made for this new Fiesta over the old one. And one of the big problems with the old car was the boot was pretty small compared to its rivals. And they have increased the size for this new one. Unfortunately, they haven't increased it by all that much, especially when rivals from Seat and Volkswagen, such as the Polo, have increased in boot size dramatically. So this, yeah, it's smaller than average really still. And yeah, you can fit a suitcase in it, but not too much really. And there's a huge lip to lift stuff over. And you can't get a false floor either to raise up the floor to make it a bit easier to slide things in and out. And of course, when you fold down the rear seats, as you'll see, there's a big ridge there. They're sticking quite upright. They don't lie flat, so things slide around like that in them. Yeah, it's quite a basic boot, but then it is a cheap car. Now, another problem, if we move round to the back seats, that Ford had with the old Fiesta, and that was that it was a little bit cramped, even for a small car, in the back seats. Apparently there is more room in this new one, but let me just get comfy if I can. Yeah, I think that answers that question. It's not as bad as before, but it's noticeably smaller than, like I say, rivals from Seat, such as the Ibiza and the Volkswagen Polo. Look, knee room is pretty tight. This seat's in my usual driving position. I'm 179 centimetres tall. Now, this car isn't helped by the fact it's got this big dual sunroof, which actually is pretty cool on a small car, but it does eat into headspace. If it wasn't there, I'd still be limited for headroom. And if you get the 3-door version, it's tighter still. So yeah, not great for adults on long journeys in the back of this, but kids will be fine. You don't really want to carry 3 in the back at once either, because it's, yeah, look, well, I'll just do it for you. Actually, it's better because of my head, actually. Look, the sunroof makes room for my head, but it wouldn't be so good if it's like that, no. So Ford hasn't made this car that much more practical than the old one, which is a bit of a shame. Now, if you want more detail on this car's practicality, then click on the pop-out banner in the top right-hand corner of the screen or on the link below the video to watch my detailed practicality review, where I'll show you how easy it is to fit a child seat, what it's like with 3 adults in the back. So now let's move on to the front, because another issue with the old Fiesta was that, well, it had been around for quite a bit, so it was feeling quite old, and it really needed an update, especially in terms of the infotainment system, which was just archaic. This new one though, oh yes, it's actually quite a nice system, and you can connect to the internet over Wi-Fi. You can also manage your own Spotify account through there if you want, and play Spotify if you're connected to your phone. So that's nice and handy. And if you want more detail on this infotainment system, click on the pop-out banner or on the link below the video for my detailed review of it. Now, you get this larger screen on titanium models and above. The slightly cheaper Z-Tech gets a smaller screen, about 6.5 inches, but the entry-level car just gets this horrible little screen, so you don't want that. You need the Z-Tech or above. This one is a range-topping Vignale, which has various luxury features, such as, look, quilted leather seats. You get 17-inch alloys as standard. You get leatherette on the dash and this special kind of purpley trim here on the inside, and of course that panoramic glass sunroof. But it all comes at a cost. This car is just under £21,000 for the list price, and it's just overkill really for a Fiesta. The sweet spot in the range is the titanium. Get that with 1 litre petrol with 125 horsepower, and the list price for that car should be just under £18,000. But I plugged the details of that car into CarWow, and I got an offer back from just under £16,000, so even better value. In terms of the cubby spaces in here, it's actually quite good. So, look, the door bins, they're a weird shape, but they can hold a large bottle. You've got a couple of cup holders down here, which can hold smaller bottles and maybe a coffee cup. You get a little bit of storage under here if you have the central armrest, which is available on titanium models and above. And there's a big bin down there for, yes, look, you can store your mobile phone. There's also an extra little cubby down by the steering wheel, but don't leave your keys in there or you'll forget where you left them. The glove box is just about adequate, but then, yeah, that's not a make or break it decision, is it really?
Now then, it's time for the Car Wow 5 annoying things about this car.
The rear coat hooks are actually quite far into the centre of the car, so you could never hang your coat up there and have anyone in the back because, yeah, all they're going to see is coat. The recliners for the front seats are really awkward to get to and you end up scraping your knuckles because there's no room to move. Ah. The left windscreen wiper blade is quite short, and when you combine that with a large windscreen, when you wipe the windscreen clean, it leaves quite a large part unwiped, which can obscure the view of the passenger. If you don't want a manual gearbox, then your choice is rather limited because you can only get an automatic with one engine, and it does hamper the fuel economy as well. The rear windows don't wind down all that far.
It's not all negative though. Here's 5 good things about this car.
The car has very natural voice commands, so...
Please say a command.
I need coffee. Definitely do.
Where would you like to search? Please say nearby or in a town.
Nearby.
Please say a line number.
There you go, look, Starbucks, number 1.
When ready, use the voice button and then say set as destination.
Now can you get someone to drive this car to go get me coffee because I've got other things to do? Obviously not. You can get the Fiesta with a whole heap of driving aids, including auto emergency braking with pedestrian detection, lane keeping aid, blind spot monitoring. You can even get an auto park facility which will turn the wheel for you to navigate you into space. So if you struggle to park a car that's this small, you probably want to think about redoing your test. You can get this car with the B&O Place sound system. It has 10 speakers, including a subwoofer, and 675 watts. Maybe they should rename it to Bangin' & Olufsen. Apparently, the car's doors are 20% easier to shut than before. In fact, I can shut them just by turning round. The leather on the steering wheel is specifically designed to be sun and hand cream resistant. So even if I do something stupid like that, it should wipe off and not leave a stain. Please don't stain. I don't have to pay for it to be valeted. It's not stained. One of the key things Ford has tried to do with this new Fiesta is to make it even easier to live with than the old car. So for driving in town, they've made the steering a little bit lighter, so low speed manoeuvres are less of a strain. In terms of the visibility out of the car, it's actually pretty good. You've got a big back window, you've got this little quarter light there which reduces the blind spot because that is quite a thick pillar. The only problem is the big thick pillar at the back, it does have a little window in it, but that just lets a bit of light in, you can't really see out of it. Now if you want to see more of what this car's like to drive, click on the pop-out banner or on the link below the video to watch my point of view test drive video. Another way this car is better to drive in town is the suspension, so it's better over bumps than before. It really is quite comfy for such a small car. It's not the comfiest, it's not quite as good over bumps as a Volkswagen Polo, but it's still very good. And this car is on 18-inch alloy wheels and it's not too much of a problem. I can't feel the bumps that badly. Well done, Ford. Now, small cars don't just have to be good in town these days, they've also got to be good on the motorway, and this Fiesta, it is pretty good on the motorway as well. So even at speed, it's not too noisy for a small car. It's not the quietest. You probably notice a bit of tyre roar from, like I said, those big 18-inch alloy wheels. But it's not too intrusive, and the engine choice is quite good. So you want to ignore the 1.1 litre petrols. They're not powerful enough. Get one of the 1 litre 3-cylinder turbo petrols. The one in this car is actually the most powerful version. It's got 140 horsepower, can get from 0 to 60 in under 9 seconds. Feels nice and nippy. It doesn't sound too rough like some 3-cylinders can. I quite like it. And the economy, well, it's supposed to be able to do 63 miles per gallon. If I look down at the trick computer, this one's averaging just under 42. So yeah, not quite 60 odd miles per gallon, is it? But it's still okay, really. Now, I wouldn't have this particular version of the 1 litre engine. I'd have the 125 horsepower version because you'll save yourself some money and it feels almost as quick. If you do loads of miles, you might want a diesel. So you can get 2 versions of 1.5 litre diesel and they will return apparently over 80 miles per gallon, but I would only get a diesel if you're doing lots and lots of miles. I'm talking over like 12,000, maybe even 15,000 miles a year. So, in making the Fiesta all grown up, has Ford made it as boring to drive as a Volkswagen Polo? Well, I'm happy to report that no, they haven't. It's still a fun, cheeky little car to drive with nice pointy steering and a very agile chassis. It is fun. It's genuinely good fun, actually. This really is a little car that you feel what's going on, so the gear shift is nice, and you have 6 speeds with the manual now with this new Fiesta. Woohoo! Also, the brakes are sharp, but not too sharp. And I love how you sit in it, and the driving position, it's just perfect. The only problem is the steering wheel, which, yeah, it's kind of like a bit too big, and the leather on it feels cheap. It's my only complaint. You can get more information on this car at carwow.co.uk. You'll also be able to see how much you can save on it, or any car for that matter, and you can just follow the link below the video to do that, or on the pop-out banner. Now, what's my verdict on this car? Should you avoid it? Should you consider it? Should you shortlist it, or should you just go right ahead and buy it? Well, I reckon you should avoid the Vignale. It's just too expensive. But for the rest of the Fiesta range, you should shortlist it. It's a really good small car.
If you enjoyed this video, please like it, share it, and click on our logo to subscribe to this channel. On the video window to watch more content, or on the choose and buy box to see how much you can save on a new car at CarWow. Now, did you spot the Easter egg in this video? It was the old Mark 1 Ford Fiesta on my phone in the car centre console.